G'day, my name is Shay with Box Collector, and today I'll be teaching you how to play the 2 to 6 player game Politik, designed by Jonathan Klabunde and Lukas Peregrine and published by Black Yeti Games. In Politik, players take on the role of one of 12 nations looking to seize territories, control political council seats, and use companies to conquer markets. To win the game, you need to get the required number of power grabs. There are 3 types of power grabs: military, political, and corporate. Throughout the game, you will play propaganda, company, asset, and event cards to help you. On your turn, you have a dozen actions to choose from, and what action you choose and when will play a big role in your success. Let's take a look at the table. This is your nation board. When you start the game, you will have the option to choose from one of 2 randomly drawn nations. Each nation comes with a choice between 2 starting propaganda cards. Propaganda cards provide you with a unique ability, and no 2 propaganda cards are the same. Each nation indicates the starting resources shown at the top of the card: capital, carbon, food, and it also shows how much support and how many leaders you start with. Capital is used to pay for stuff. Carbon is used to clash and to build companies and assets. And food is used to educate. And I'll go over what all of that means in a moment. After you've chosen your nation card goes here, and the propaganda you choose goes right here. The propaganda you choose to start with also comes with a political ideology that you get support in. In this case, I get statism. I will then take my control token showing 1 support and put it in statism. You'll record your capital, carbon, and food on your resource tracking sheet. I also start off with 2 leaders for this particular nation, and these are the leaders here. So I'm going to choose that one and that one. All right, so what are leaders and what support? Throughout the game, you will be clashing with opponents. And clashing is basically taking some of your power against an opponent's power and seeing who wins. All you need to know for right now is that each leader gives 1 additional power to a certain clash. And then for support is shown on the board in bases and council seats. Bases show how much support you have in a certain political ideology. So looking at the nation that I started with, I get either statism or capitalism, depending on which propaganda card I chose. And in this case, I chose dogmatic, which gives me a statism. Now, at the beginning of the game, not only do you start out with 2 nations and 2 propaganda of each nation to choose from, but you also get 6 starting Politik cards, as well as a startup company. Looking at these 6 cards, as well as your starting company, is smart before you choose what nation and propaganda you want, so that you can kind of see which are going to work best together. After everyone's had the opportunity to choose their starting nation and propaganda, you're going to select a starting player. Everyone other than the starting player and the second player gets to choose a bonus. And this bonus can be 8 capital, a food, a carbon, a Politik card, or exchanging resources. In a 2-player game, though, the second player does get to choose a bonus. Then, starting with the first player, each player will get to select a state in a region and place a control token showing 8 influence there and gain the state's benefit shown next to the state. So say I want to start in Urek. I'm going to take my influence token showing 8 influence and place it on Urek, and I'll also be able to record that I got 1 additional carbon. And let's say that my opponent chose Haifa. So they would place their token showing 8 influence, and they'll gain a food. Now, you can place your control token anywhere on the board except for these states around the map, the ones that have all of these circles around them. Those are broadcast stations, and I'll explain those later. Now, let's take a look at the left side of the board. This is the corruption track, and corruption gives players access to more powerful abilities. Throughout the game, you will play cards that have the corruption symbol on it. And when you do, you get to move your token down the corruption track. When you do, take an obligation card from the obligation deck. Obligation cards are really powerful, but they might cost more than you can or want to spend. You might notice the X and corruption symbol at the top right of the card. That just means that you meet the criteria no matter what your corruption level is. Some cards like Cultivate are cheap. As long as you control at least one market, then you gain its benefit. But cards like Collateral are a little bit more expensive. In this case, you need to have leaders in order to gain support. But maybe you don't have leaders, or maybe you don't want to spend your leaders. If that's the case, then this card is just going to take up your hand limit until you either play it or you get rid of it. Now, to get rid of an obligation card, it costs 10 capital times the level of corruption you are. So the further down the corruption track you get, the harder it is to get rid of obligation cards. Now, when you see a card like this that has this symbol at the top right, it means that you need to have that amount of corruption in order to play it. The better the card, the more corruption you'll need to play. If you ever get 9 or more corruption, you gain an extra action that you can take on your turn. Until you get 9 or more corruption, you only get 2 actions on your turn. And there are quite a few actions to pick from, but luckily they are shown on your nation board to help you remember. And I'll go through and explain each one. The play action's pretty simple. You just take a card from your hand. It could be a company, asset, propaganda, event, or obligation card, and play it. The cost of the card is shown in the top right. Some cards don't cost anything to play, and others have a prerequisite of how much corruption you need in order to play. It's important to note that a player can only have up to 4 propaganda. So if you ever want to play a 5th, then you have to cover one of these cards. Playing a company adds a few additional steps. After paying the cost of the company and placing it down, you will take a company board and place it next to the company like this. You'll look at the card and see which market you start with. In this case, I am starting with a humanities market. So I will look up at the industries and take the market token that matches the industry that I just got, which was humanities. And I'll take that market token and I'll place it here on my company board. I'll also see how much margin the company gives me. So in this case, I get 1 margin. So I'll take one of these margin tokens and put it here on the 1 margin spot. Lastly, I will place a control token on the humanities industry, showing that I now have 1 market in that industry. As you get more markets in that industry, you will increase your control value. So if I get another humanities market, I will increase my control value in humanities to 2. So what exactly is margin? Margin is one way that you can get more markets. Throughout the game, you will increase your margin, and eventually your margin may exceed 9. And if it does, then you may choose to spend that to gain another market token in the market that your company controls. So in this case, I'm still just controlling humanities, so I would get an additional humanities market token as long as there's one available. Markets help you get corporate power grabs and capital, and I'll explain what those mean in a second, don't worry. If later in the game I play this distribution channels asset, I would pay 1 carbon and 10 capital, and I can add it to any company that I own, which in this case, I'm adding it to my New Elm company. Assets help strengthen your companies. In this case, distribution channels is going to give me 1 additional margin, which I will indicate there, as well as give me access to the manufacturing industry for this company. So if later on in the game I exceeded 9 margin and I get to choose another market, instead of choosing humanities, I could instead grab manufacturing and add it to my company. If an industry ever runs out of market tokens, then you can't get any more, unless a landscape card adds more market tokens, and I'll explain that later. Which means that if you ever play a market that matches that missing market symbol, or you tick past 9 margin in a company that has that missing market token, you can't get more. You can still play that company, you just don't get a market token for it. The use action allows you to activate an ability on a card. So looking back at my company, if I chose to take the use action, then I could activate this card and educate. And I'll explain what that means. But after you've activated a card, go ahead and turn it so that you remember that you've used it. Before I move on to the next action you can take, let me explain the edge ability. Some abilities start with the edge symbol instead of the activate symbol. When a card shows the edge ability, you can play that card at any time, even if it's not your turn. You can even use an edge ability on a card from your hand as long as it's an event card and the play conditions have been met. If it's any other type of card, then it has to have been played to your tableau before you can activate the edge ability. Now, I'm going to skip the national and clash actions and move on to research. Research allows you to gain additional cards. To research, you will pay the capital cost shown on the research row in the prices chart. In this case, it costs 5 capital for each card you want to research. And it can be as many as you want on that action as long as you can afford it. But you can only have up to 10 cards in your hand. If you ever exceed 10 cards, you must immediately reduce back down to 10. To educate, you will pay the food shown on the prices chart to gain a leader. You can educate as many leaders as you want in the action, so long as you can afford it. The leaders can be whatever type you want, and your leaders will be placed here on your nation board. Campaigning is how you move support from your bases into council seats. To campaign, you will pay the campaign cost in capital as shown in the prices chart, for however much support you want to move to a seat. So to campaign, I would need to pay 5 capital. If I only paid the 5 capital, then I would move 1 support from statism into any of the council seats. If, however, I had support like this, 2 in capitalism and 1 statism, and I could afford to campaign 3 times, then I could send all 3 support into any council seat. But it can only be into 1 council seat. You can take multiple from as many bases as you want, but they all have to go into 1 seat. Exchanging allows you to buy and or sell food and carbon. To exchange, you will use the price chart to see how much you can buy and sell resources for. So if I wanted to sell food, I would get 8 capital, and then I could buy carbon for 5 capital. You can make as many sales and purchases as you like. Now, moving back to Clash. As I mentioned earlier, clashing is when you attack a state, support in a seat, or a company. To clash, you will place a clash token on a target, then pay the cost. The cost to clash is shown in the price chart. So if I wanted to clash, I would need to pay 2 carbon. Alternatively, you can pay for a clash using a leader. And as you can see here on your nation board, once you pay a leader, it covers the full cost of the clash. And that leader adds focus value. Focus is basically your strength in a clash. The attacker focuses first. You use cards from your hand to focus. Each politic card has a focus value for military, political, and corporate strength, ranging from 0 to 4. You can focus as many cards as you want from your hand, playing them face down. You can also add any additional leaders, adding 1 additional focus for each leader played. Your opponent then has the opportunity to focus cards from their hand, laying them face down, and any leaders that they want to contribute. You will then reveal cards and match the focus value of the current clash type. So in this example, if I'm clashing for military and I played these 3 cards, then I'll add up my military clash, which in this case it would be a total of 4, and my opponent, they have a total of 5 plus 1 from their military leader of 6, meaning that they beat me. Military clashes take place on the map. I can choose to clash for any state in any territory I want. But if I choose to clash for a state adjacent to a state that I already have influence in, then I can focus influence from that state into the clash. If, however, it is a state that I am not next to, then I can only focus cards from my hand and use leaders. I want to clash with Aplos, so I'm going to take a clash token and put it next to Aplos to indicate that I'm attacking it. And then I'm going to focus 3 out of my 4 influence from Roka to fight against Aplos. If I had influence over in Virat, then I could focus some or all of it into Aplos if I wanted, but I don't. I am then going to add a leader, and I'm going to play 3 cards to focus face down. It is now my opponent's turn to defend. and they have 4 influence in Emos that they want to contribute towards their defense. So they're going to focus 3 influence from Emos, so they'll reduce down to 1, and then they're going to add that 3 to Aplos. So now Aplos has a total of 6 influence. They choose to focus 2 cards. Now that I've had the opportunity to attack, and they've had the opportunity to defend, we flip our cards. And count up our totals. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 focus to their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I won the clash. Our cards are going to get discarded, as well as any leaders. I'm going to remove their influence token, and I will show the difference of our 2 attacks, which was 1, and now I have 1 influence in Aplos, and I get to take food because I won it. If you ever clash with an unoccupied state, then you will grab 1 Politik card randomly from the deck and put it face down, and that represents the state's defending force. If, however, you are clashing with a broadcast station, you will instead grab 2 Politik cards to contribute to the defense. Controlling a broadcast station is helpful for a few reasons. One is that it allows you to influence from a nation into a new region instead of only being able to focus your Politik cards to get over that way. The other thing is that controlling a broadcast station gives you the matching broadcast card. Broadcast cards have 2 abilities, Signal and Noise. Activating Signal allows you to add influence to your states. First, you will choose a base. So I'm going to choose Statism. You will then target the 2 regions adjacent to the broadcast station state. Next, you will add influence to each state you control in both regions equal to the number of propaganda you control in the base you chose. I chose Statism, and of the 2 propaganda cards that I have, both of them have the Statism symbol on the cards, meaning that I get to add 2 influence to all 4 of these states. Activating Noise allows me to remove influence from enemy states. After you activate Noise, you will choose a base same as in Signal. You will target the 2 regions adjacent to the broadcast station, and you will remove influence from each opponent's states in those regions equal to the number of propaganda of the chosen base that you control. But for each state, reduce the amount of influence lost by the propaganda of the base you chose that the other nations have. Meaning if I again chose Statism, and I have 2 support in Statism, before I remove 2 influence from the enemy nation, I first need to see what propaganda cards they have. So looking at my opponent's propaganda cards, they have Statism. So since they had a Statism, that means that instead of me removing 2 influence from each state, I will subtract their 1 Statism from my 2, and now I will remove 1 influence from each state, meaning that Emos, it only had 1, so that one's gone. Santet only had 1, that one's gone. Moxus has a total of 5, so that one's going to be reduced down to 4. Now, obviously, losing influence in your states is not fun, and it's not realistic that you're going to be able to keep up among your propaganda cards all of the various political ideologies that all of your opponents are playing. That's where the immunity card comes in. Immunity cards prevent the noise ability from changing your influence among your states. Most often, you will get immunity from the defense seat. Some cards granting immunity might be a one-time use, others might have a cost, and some might be continually available. When you play a card that grants temporary immunity, you will gain an immunity card during that turn, but then must return the immunity card after the player's turn is over. For political clashes, place the clash token on the seat you want to clash with and perform a clash just like I explained earlier. The attacker chooses how many cards and leaders they want to focus, and then the defender gets to choose how many cards and leaders they focus. So looking back at this example, if I'm clashing for the justice seat, I, as the attacker, go first, and I choose to focus 3 cards. And then my opponent chooses to focus 2 cards. Now that we're ready, we're both going to flip, and we're going to total it up. So I've got 3, 4, 5, 6 to my opponent's 2. So I have a difference of 4, since it's 6 minus 2. My opponent only has 3 support here. So that means that I only get to put 3 down. I don't get an excess. I don't get to put 4, even though I won by 4. Lastly, for a corporate clash, the attacker places 1 clash token on the business that he wants to clash with, as well as a clash token on one of his businesses to indicate which business is clashing with the opponent. The clash is then resolved as normal, with the attacker first focusing cards and leaders, then the opponent getting the opportunity to focus cards and leaders to defend, and then you look at the differences in the total, and that is going to be what determines the amount of market or margin that is gained by the winner. All right, so if I'm this company, I'm attacking this company. I focus 3 cards, my opponent focuses 2, and we flip. So I am attacking with a total of 6 to their 3, and they, as the loser, get to choose how their company assets are distributed over to my company. So they can go ahead and choose to do 1, 2, 3 margin, since it's a difference of 3, and that's it. But if instead they were at 2, and this is how it was still played out, then they need to first, they'll choose to remove 2 margin, but there's still more to be paid. And now that they're at a margin, that can only be paid with markets. So I get a market from them to finish covering the cost. The only issue here is that this is a media and this is a financial market, and I don't have that in this company. I only have humanities and manufacturing. So I can't take this into my company. Instead, one of these is going to then return to the industry that it came from. The last action to look at is national. National actions are shown at the top of the board. When you use a national action, you place one of your nation tokens on the action that you are going to perform. You can't place more than one of your nation tokens on the same action. So if I have my token in the rally spot, I can't do rally again until I have first played all of my tokens on all 4 actions. Once I've placed all 4 of my nation tokens, then they return to me, and now I can do rally again. Income gives you 5 base capital, but then gives you more based on your companies. For each company, multiply the number of markets it has by its margin. So this company, 2 markets, multiplied by 7. So this is netting me 14. And then this one's only got the 1. It has 8. This is netting me 8. So 8 and 14 is how much capital I'm getting between these 2 companies. Finally, gain 5 capital for each industry the nation controls the most market in or wins tie. So if I'm currently winning the tie, then I win this and this, since it's 1 and 1. So I'm winning both the media and financial industry as well as manufacturing. So I'm getting 15 capital from these, meaning taking the income action netted me 45 capital. Additionally, as part of the income action, you may buy 1 market for 20 capital. And that market can be any market you want, and it can be attached to any company you want. The only thing is you have to make sure that when you choose a company, that the market that you just purchased matches the industry that that company is associated with. When a nation rallies, they gain 1 support for each propaganda they control, and place the support into a base that matches one of the base keywords on the card. So if I rallied and these were the propaganda cards I had played, I would get 1 support in statism. With this card, since there's 2 options, I have to choose which support I get. So maybe I choose capitalism. And then this propaganda, this has communism. So I get 3 support for my 3 propaganda cards. So I'd place 1 support here in capitalism, 1 support here in communism, and 1 support here in statism. Then you resolve council seats from left to right, ignoring any council seat the nation does not control. And to know who's controlling a council seat, it's whoever has the most support in that seat. For the chair council seat, you remove 1 support from 1 chair of your choice. For the justice council seat, you get the final say card. But it's important to note that the final say card goes immediately to the nation controlling it. You don't have to wait to rally to get the final say card. And I'll explain what the final say card is later, but basically, it's a tiebreaker. The Commerce Council seat gives you a market, and that market can be from any industry, but you still have those same limitations like I discussed earlier. So if you're going to be taking a market from an industry and placing it onto a company, that company needs to have that symbol matching that market in order for you to add it. And again, you can't take a market if the market token isn't there, if they're all gone. After gaining a market, you can then exchange using the prices chart. So you could sell food or carbon or buy food or carbon. The Labor Council seat allows you to educate 1 leader of your choice and change a price from the prices chart up or down 3 times. So maybe I want to spend some food next turn, so I'm going to increase the price of food by 1, and then I don't have a lot of carbon, but I know I want to clash, so I'm going to lower the price of clashing, and I also need some more cards, so I'm going to lower the cost of research. For intel, you'll gain 1 corruption, and you get to research a card. But just remember that when you're grabbing a corruption, you also need to grab an obligation. The Defense Council seat gives you 5 influence that can be distributed among your states. And just like the Justice seat, the player who controls the Defense seat gets the immunity card immediately. You don't have to wait to rally to get it. Produce gives you benefits from all of your states. So looking at the board, all of my states give me a benefit. I get food from Aplos, carbon from Virat, support from Luna, food from Santini, carbon from Urek, and food from Rajev. I also get to research a card for each region that I occupy. So again, looking at the board, I occupy Region A, Region D, and Region C. Broadcast stations don't count. So I get to research 3 cards. Refresh allows you to ready all of your activated cards, as well as resolve the next landscape. Now, I haven't talked about landscape cards yet, but throughout the game, they add a little bit of variability. They can change what markets are in industries, as well as the prices in the price chart. Landscape cards are found at the bottom left of the board, and they can either be bull markets or bear markets, adding either a +1 or +2, or a -1 or a -2. The landscape card at the moment is saying that we add 2 to the cost of food on the prices chart, as well as an additional 2 financial and 2 humanity market tokens. What's nice is that you can always see the next landscape card coming up, so it helps you to kind of plan out what's going to change. So if I just took the refresh action and I just finished readying my cards, now it's time to flip a new landscape card. So I'm going to take this landscape card and make it the active landscape. And now it's saying that I'm going to subtract 2 to the cost of carbon and 2 to the cost of educating. I'm also going to remove 2 energy market tokens. So I'm going to come over here and lower the cost of carbon by 2, as well as the cost of educate, but I can't go lower than 1, so I'll just go ahead and put it there. And then I'm also going to remove both energy market tokens. And if you notice right here, that teeny little margin symbol, that's letting you know that you're going to reduce the margin for all of your companies matching this industry for the indicated amount. Now, in this example, if I had a company that had multiple cards that showed the energy industry symbol on it, I don't have to get rid of more margin than just the 2. It only applies once, it doesn't apply multiple times. All right, so now that we understand all of the different actions we can take, let's go ahead and see how we actually win the game, which is by looking at power grabs. To win, you need to get 2 different types of power grabs, as well as the required number of power grabs you need based on your player count. So in a 2-player game, you need to get 4 power grabs. In a 3 to 4 player game, you need to get 3 power grabs. And in a 5 to 6 player game, you only need 2. To win a military power grab, you need to control 3 or more regions. To control a region, you must control 2 or more states there, as well as control more states in the region than any other nation or win a tie. So in the case of region A, I have 2, and I have more than my opponent, so I control region A. Looking at region C, I control 2 states in this region, but my opponent controls 3, so they're currently controlling this region. To win a political power grab, you must control 4 or more council seats. So to control a council seat, you need to have at least 1 support there and have more support there than another opponent. So I don't have anything in chair, labor, intel, or defense, so I am not winning any of those. I have a support in justice, and I'm the only one there, so I currently am controlling justice. And in terms of commerce, I am there, but I have an opponent there. Luckily, I have 2 support, my opponent only has 1, so I am controlling the commerce seat. And in the case of a council seat where there are multiple people, the person who wins the tie controls the seat.
To win a corporate power grab,
you must control 4 or more industries. To see who controls an industry is pretty easy. Obviously, you need to have a company that has a market in the industry, and you need to have more of that market than your opponent. So in this case up here, my opponent has 1 market in media, and they're uncontested, so they're controlling media. They also have 3 in energy, and I have 2, so they're beating me there. No one's in financial. I'm the only one in humanities, so I'm winning that one. No one's in technology, and then I have 2 market in manufacturing. My opponent only has 1, so I'm controlling manufacturing. So out of all of these, I'm controlling 2 industries, and my opponent is controlling 2 industries. Now let's get back to the final say card. In this game, winning ties is extremely important, and nowhere in this game is that more important than in power grabs. You're going to tie a lot, and if you want to get those power grabs, you're going to need to beat those ties. Now, looking at the final say card, a nation is awarded this card if they meet the highest criteria listed here. If a criteria is ever tied, then you'll just keep going down the list until it's eventually awarded. So, if you control the justice seat, you get the final say card. If no one's controlling the justice seat, then we'll move on down to whoever has the most corruption. But if there is a tie there, then we'll move on to most negotiation. You'll see the negotiation symbol appear on cards all throughout the game, and it can be on assets, propaganda, companies, or events. On permanent cards like assets, propaganda, and company, you will add up your negotiation total to see if you qualify for the final say card. Event cards, however, they only add negotiation for the turn that you're playing the event. And once you're done playing the event and your turn's over, then that card is going to get removed and it's going to be then subtracted from your negotiation total. And if 2 nations are tied for the amount of negotiation they have, then the final say card is awarded to the active player. And that is all of the rules. But that was a lot, so let's recap. On your turn, you have 2 main actions, and you can take as many edge abilities as you like. On a main action, you can play a card from your hand, use an ability on a card, clash, do a nation action, so you can produce, rally, income, or refresh, research cards, educate leaders, campaign, and exchange. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Politik. Now, I feel like this is one of those games where you'll really understand the rules as you begin to watch a gameplay. So I'm going to have my buddy Brian join me, and we're going to play through a full game. All right, everyone, I got my friend Brian here with me. We are now ready to play, so let's decide who goes first. Rock, paper, scissors on shoot.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Shoot. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right, so you go first.
Okay.
Okay, so I get to choose my bonus. Since we're only playing a 2-player game, the second player gets to choose a bonus. I am going to choose... I don't start with any carbon. I don't start with any food.
You do start with a leader. Which leader would you like?
I do. I'm going to go with a military leader. I think I'm going to take a carbon for my bonus.
Okay. All right. I'm going to select for my location.
Well, first let's show everybody. So I have gone and chosen the Tika Republic. So I am a capitalist-minded nation, starting out with some old money. So I already start with some corruption, and I have this cool ability, which I will reveal later. And you are
I am Libris with the propaganda Unity. And I have started with 1 leader in capitalism. Because capitalism is the best.
Okay. All right.
I'll go first. So now I pick
a spot, and you're gonna put 8 influence there.
8 influence. Okay.
Yep. Just can't choose a broadcast station.
Right. Let's go for Onyx. Do I get the food immediately?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I am going to go, I think out of all of the areas to start, I feel like Sonu is like the best. Because I'm next to a broadcast station and I'm adjacent to 3 states.
Nice.
That seems powerful. So I'll go ahead and give myself some food. All right.
I go first?
You go first. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to spend 15 of my hard-earned money. What's the money called in this game? I'm going to spend 15 money, which is capital, which is half of all my capital, in order to bring out my market. It starts off with 3 margin. And for my second action, I'm going to spend my 1 carbon in order to bring out distribution channels and attach that to my market. When I play it, I gain, or I'm going to attach to my company.
Mm-hmm.
When I play it, I gain a market and 1 margin.
Cool. But so you start with a market already. So what's the market you start out with?
I thought you said we didn't start off with a market.
No, you do. You do when you initially place a company.
Oh, I start off with financial.
Okay. So you're starting in the finance industry, and then you gain another market from that asset you just played. So you gain another.
Well, this also gives me manufacturing.
Oh, okay. So you can choose if you want financial or manufacturing.
I will go with manufacturing.
Okay, cool. Nice. That is a really nice play. Strong.
But it does put me in the poorhouse because that's another 10.
Yes, you're 5.
That's another 10
Still,
capital.
though,
So.
the thing about it, you take the income action, you already got 2 times 4, which I guess isn't huge, but you get that margin up, and then you'll be laughing to the bank.
It also gives me 1 corruption. So
yes, it does. Here's your obligation.
Give me an obligation.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So I think I'm probably just going to follow suit there. And I'll come out with my startup. Okay, so I'm doing Transaxis, which costs 15 capital. Now I'm at 10. Or 20, sorry. 20, and then I have to spend my carbon. I get a second corruption. Start out with 5 margin. Start out in manufacturing, so we're already out of manufacturing. I'm going to clash with Tantika. I mean, I am the Tika Republic. So
you got to get Tantika.
I should probably get Tantika. So I am going to... First, let's grab a defense card. I am going to... how many... I think I'm going to focus 3 influence. That sounds pretty good. So switch that out. I'm going to put 3 there, and then as far as cards, that'll be perfect. Okay, and I'll focus that card. Okay, 0. Nice. So I'll put my 3 in there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You got your carbon. All right. For my turn, I am going to play Scout Ahead. It lets me research 1, and then it allows me to clash.
Nice. Military clash.
Military clash. Yep. And I think I'll go for Meza.
Yep, the broadcast station.
The broadcast station.
Good choice. All right, so we'll bring out.
And I'll move.
We'll bring out 2 cards.
4 guys there. I'll move half my dudes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I will play that 1.
All right, bold. 2, 4.
Ooh.
So you lose
I got
1.
3.
There you go. All right. Just put that in your discard.
Discard. All right, and then I gain governor of my choosing. A support of my choosing, and I'm going to go with
the base.
Fascism.
Nice.
I'm going to.
What's it going to be, boy?
I'm going to tap Unity and gain another support. And I'll put it in
Capitalism.
Okay.
Nice.
So that's my 2 actions.
I like it. I think what I'll do, I'm going to start another company. So I'm going to spend all of my money and my carbon. So I'm at 0, basically everything. I get humanities market. Okay, I am poor. And unfortunately, if I took the income action, I get nothing. I get nothing from Oko Valley if I take income.
But you would get 5.
I would get 5 for
your other company.
I would be controlling the humanities industry. And I would get 5 from the other company. It's still not like a ton. I wonder what other things I could do. Not really a lot. You know what, though? I do want to clash, but I can't clash. But if I take labor and then rally, I'd have to rally, but then I could educate and I could decrease the prices. So I think I'm gonna do that. So I am going to take the campaign action. But I have no money.
Yeah, you don't have any money.
I need 5. I'm so poor. Okay, it has to be income.
So it's got to be income. You are broke. Completely broke.
Unless.
Tap a card.
I forgot to use my edge ability and gain 5 for when I gain my second corruption. Idiot.
You fool!
But if I discarded old money, which would leave me with no propaganda, which means I couldn't put anything to any bases. Yeah, but I would get 30 for it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But I need to have.
I need to have some.
I need to have some political affiliation, so that's not going to happen right now. Yeah. So let's just take income. I don't want to, but I must. I gain 5. And then another 5 from my Transaxis company, because it's market times the margin, which is 5. And then 5 for each industry I control. I'm controlling humanities, and then if we look at the final say, no one's got justice. I have most corruption. So I currently have final say.
So it'd be another 10.
So that would be another 10. So 20. I'll take it, I suppose.
Then you can spend all that 20 for a market.
I could. I'm not going to.
For my first action, I'm going to discard. With my Cavalier Capital, I can discard a card to gain 3 margin. So I'm going to gain 3
Nice.
margin on my company. And then I'm going to tap that to research too. Those are my 2 actions.
Okay. Nice. Okay, I have money. Have Monet. I am going to campaign. And I am going to... I think I'll just campaign 1 from capitalism. 1 support from capitalism into labor. And I will pay the 5 for it. Yes. All right, I'm going to play new methods on trans-axis. I'm going to get 3 more margin. I'm going to gain corruption. Now I have access to technology, which will be helpful.
Okay. Now, if I gain margin and get a market, then this resets back to 0. Okay, so before I do anything like that...
I mean, it wouldn't be just to 0. You would keep going up to however much you gain.
So it would be 10, 11, 12?
Yeah, well, like, say you're at 7 right now, and you gain 4.
So
you'd go up to 2.
Right. But then it'd be 3 times 2 instead of 2 times 7?
Yeah, but you can always, even if you get up to 9, you can choose to stay if you would rather have the margin high instead of gaining a market.
Right. I think before I do that, I'm going to snag some income. So that'd be 5 plus 2 times 7, 14, so 19 plus 5 because I control 1 market. 24 is that? 24? 24 money. For my second action, I will spend 5 money to grab a asset onto my company, which gives me 1 margin.
Nice.
And now since this has an edge ability, I could play that as an edge card, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
Sweet.
Playing it as an edge. And it says I can exchange if I so desire. Do I want to exchange? I do not.
Okay. What else does it do?
What else does it do? It says I can choose to pay 1 food for 2 carbon, or vice versa, and then it lets me exchange. Gives me access to technology and gives me 1.
Sorry, you're not using it then?
I'm not
using the
tapping it. Okay. I'm going to spend fascism in order to play a second propaganda.
All right. I'm going to play cultivate. So if I control... Oh, no, I can't. I just realized I'm at 3. I have to see, this is a good case of where you can't... The card's great. It gives me a lot of money, but I don't meet the prerequisite because I have to have 3 market. I only have 2. I'm going to campaign again. So I will spend another 5. I have 5 left. And I'm going to take my other support in capitalism and I'm going to place it in commerce. And then I am going to use the rally national action. I gain 1 support because I only have 1 propaganda, which is unfortunate, but whatever. So gain support back into capitalism. And then I'm going to resolve council abilities. No one's in anything except me. So I'm going to resolve commerce. I gain a market. And I am going to take a technology and add it to this because I have technology from new methods. I can exchange if I want, which might not be a terrible idea because I have food, so I could sell it. But I think I want that food, actually. No, I'm going to gain and educate right now. So I don't need that food. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to sell my food for 8. Okay, and then I can educate. So I will grab military leader, and then I will change. I'm going to increase campaign costs by 2. And I'm going to decrease clash by 1.
I think I'm going to campaign. And I'm going to send 2 guys over to Tibero.
Okay.
I don't have very many cards. Oh, it's a gamble. Is it a gamble I can win?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. 2. So.
Okay.
Well done.
Oh.
So you get food?
So I get food.
Yep.
Let's see. And since carbon is cheaper than food, I'm going to tap my asset and trade in 1 food for 2 carbon.
Okay. I am now going to clash. But I am not going to spend my carbon. I'm going to spend my leader to do it. So let me do that. And then now I'm going to clash with Arca. So let's reduce this to 1. Send 4 over to Arca. And then let me focus, because 2 cards are going to come out. So let's see. I don't have a lot. I don't want to spend these cards. These are really good cards. This gives me how much? My leader, since it was spent, does add an additional 1. So I think I'm just going to leave it with the 1 card and hope and pray I don't get wrecked. Okay, 2.
Oh, he gives you +1 when you use him?
When you use him. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, all the leaders do.
Oh. That is good to know.
Whenever you use a leader for a clash, when you spend a leader for a clash, it also contributes.
That's good to know.
Yes. So I get 2 versus 3. I only lose 1. So that was actually pretty good. Nice. Okay. So I now control Arca. So let me grab the base broadcast station card there. Sweet. And then I am going to produce. So I gain all of the benefits, so I can't forget that I do gain support. So I gain support and capitalism. I'm going to do it again, though, since I am producing. So I'm now at 3, and then I gain the food at a carbon.
I'm going to play my obligation. If I have at least 1 governor, which I do, I can ready a card. I'm going to ready this one, and then I'm going to use it to research it.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
Okay, but now I can finally use Cultivate. So I'm controlling 3 market, I have 3 corruption, and I get to gain 12 capital. So let's get rid of that card. And then I have a carbon, so I'm going to play Satellite Network. And I'm going to play it on Oko Valley so that I can actually get some margin. So 3 margin.
I'm going to spend 2 carbon to clash. And I'm going to clash politically for the commerce seat.
Oh, no. Oh, crap. Do I have anything that could help?
You have cards in your hand.
I don't want to spend those. So,
Your seat is mine.
yes, indeed it is.
Okay, for my second action, I think I'm also going to produce.
You would.
Gain my state benefits. And I'm going to grab a governor. Fascism. And research for each region I occupy, which is just 2, right?
I didn't research.
The radio doesn't count.
I totally forgot to research, my bad. No, so just 2.
Okay. Right, that is my turn.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will be playing another company, Particular. So it cost me 20, so almost all of my capital. Start with 2 margin. I am going to choose technology as my market. All right, I'll use new methods to research.
I'm going to spend my fascism guy in order to play formalism. And then for my second action, I think I will rally.
Okay.
So I'll gain 1 support per propaganda. I have 3 propagandas. So I'll gain 1 capitalism, 1 communism, and 1 fascism.
Why not?
And then I control the commerce seat. So I'm going to grab a technology market. And I can exchange, which I will do. I'm going to sell off my food for how much each? 8 each?
8, yeah.
So that's 24. 24 food, which is what, 43?
Nice.
You know, I'm also going to, along with the buying and selling, because it says you can do food and carbon, so you don't have to just pick one, you can do both. So I'm also going to
sell everything you want to do.
I'm also going to buy
some carbon.
2 carbon. They're 5 each, right?
Yeah.
So we'll go to 33, 2 carbon. Okay.
I have no money. I got no food. We got no jobs.
Our pets are falling off.
I have like no propaganda. That sucks. I have no cards. That sucks. I have no money to research cards. That sucks.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use my final national action just so that I can get them all back.
Okay.
So I get to ready my cards. Resolve a landscape card. So we're gonna add 2 to the cost of carbon, 2 to the cost of educating, and 2 to research. Yeah, that's expensive.
Yikes! Jeez.
Let's.
Do we also add +1 of those industries.
Yes.
+1, what is it, humanities?
To margin. Well, okay, so I'll explain. So we're going to add 2 to energy. We're adding 2 to energy.
Two more?
Yep.
What color is energy?
The dark, like the brownish dark ones. These ones. Yep. So energy is stacked. None of us are involved in it.
Yeah. 2 to energy and...
But we also, if you have energy in a company, you add 2 margin to it. Which neither one of us have. But good to keep in mind. Okay, so let me take all of my things back. And now I'm going to income.
How did I know you were going to do that?
Yeah. I'm poor!
I know.
And I have a lot of companies, so it's nice. So I get base 5. So this one is going to give me 16. And then 19, 21.
+5 is 26.
26, and then I'm controlling 2. So 36. Not bad.
All right, synthesized carbon.
Mm-hmm.
It brought it
Because you were at how much margin?
past my margin. I was at
You were
8.
8.
So I guess it's 1.
Yep.
Which lets me grab a company. Go ahead and grab me that energy. Since we have so many of them.
Yeah, and now you're involved. It's awesome.
I'm involved, and you can throw that over on the energies.
Yes, sir.
Also, it gives me 2 carbon. I'm going to tap it. And it lets me change the prices.
So you had to discard a card, is that what it's saying? What's that symbol?
Oh, yes, I do have to discard a card. Oh, what do I want to decrease the cost of? Everything. I want to decrease the cost of everything. Everything's too expensive. Mm-hmm. This economy sucks. Let's decrease...
Too many tariffs.
The carbon cost of clashing. And let's decrease the cost of researching.
I am going to research. Just by using my new methods card for that. I am going to campaign. I'll pay 7 for that. I'll put 1. 1 will stay in capitalism, and then I'll put the other one in Intel. Okay.
Okay.
That was my 2, right? Yes, because I used that card.
I'm going to spend a carbon and 20 monies to bring out another industry. This is Jade Ox Company. And go ahead and grab me a technology or a manufacturing. No, a tech. Oh, they're both gone.
Yep.
Oh. So that means I just wouldn't get it?
You just don't get it, yeah.
Okay, psych! Instead of doing that, I'm just going, so instead of spending 20, I'm instead going to play this asset. So I still spend the carbon. And 5 instead, it gives me 3 margin. I'm going to refresh.
Okay.
Ready all my stuff.
Oh my gosh, dude. So many bull markets. This is ridiculous. Campaign goes up by 1. Clashing goes up by 1. Food goes up by 1. We gain a humanities.
Which is what color?
The pink. I have a humanities, so I get to increase one margin. Oh man, there's so many things I want to do, but it's like 5 steps ahead. I'm like thinking.
I know.
ridiculous.
I know.
If I do this, then I'll do this. Then I do this, but that's gonna take.
Yeah, everything's gonna take forever.
Jeez. I want to do this one particular action. Okay, I need some carbon, but I can't afford it. Well, actually, I could. I don't want to afford it. So I'm going to do produce. Yeah, that'll help me anyway. So I'm going to gain another capitalism, food, and carbon.
You don't get capitalism, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, for that.
Mhm.
Okay. 1 food, 1 carbon.
Yep.
And you get to draw 1 card. Research.
I forget
Research 1.
Yeah. I'm going to spend 10 capital and my only carbon to play out my 4th company. Thank you. Which is Heavenward Express. I get a financial. And 5 margin, which is pretty good. My leaders now add 2 to a clash instead of 1, which is pretty dope.
Very cool.
Yes. But the important thing is I now control 4 industries. So, boom.
Nice.
First power grab, baby. What are you going to do with your 1 card?
That's a really good question.
You low,
First,
boy.
I'm going to tap this to research 2.
There you go.
So that I can see what else I... Then, I'm going to campaign. So it's 8.
Yes.
I'm going to grab final say.
Smart.
Give me that. You know what? I'm gonna do 2 of them instead.
I am going to use this card. I get, because I have 2 margin in my company, I get 2 carbon. So I'll take 2 carbon. All right. I'm going to research 3 cards.
I am going to put another asset on my Cavalier Capital. So I got a bunch of assets on this baby, but this one's special. So this one is diversity. Costs 5. X is the number of different keywords on this company and its assets. So that's 1, 2, 3. Do I count duplicates? It doesn't say unique.
I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Sure, yeah.
1, 2, 3.
You counted the 0. So go up 1 more. There you go.
And I'm going to grab a humanities.
Okay.
Mark hit.
So give me
And that gives me control 4.
Yes, it does.
Which gives me a delicious point. And then I'm probably going to take advantage of
your 5 markets.
snag that income, baby.
Your 5 markets and your
At
7.
Yeah.
So you get 35 income just from that alone.
35, 40, and then I control 4.
Uh-huh.
So that's another 20.
Yeah. 60.
60 money.
That's real good.
That's a lot of money. And then to buy a market, we're going to buy a market. We're going to buy a market. So I'm going to snag that.
I'm going to do a little bit of dirty politics. I'm going to discard 3 cards from my hand, and I'm going to remove 2 support from the Justice Seat. So I'll take the final say, please. Thank you.
Just discard your cards.
I will. Okay. So I just developed 3 cards. So I gain 9. That doesn't turn. I gain 9. Gotta remember all of my edge abilities. Oh, this sucks. This game is so.
I know you're so limited to what you can do, and all the resources are finite.
I don't want to spend my money to research, but I must. So I will be researching 2 cards.
Okay. I am going to I think I'm going to gain my state benefits, which is 2 food
And 2
and
cards.
a governor. And 2 cards.
Mhm.
I'm going to spend 8 to get final say again.
Alright, I'm gonna spend 2 carbon to politically clash in commerce. And I will focus those 2.
I will not defend.
Okay. Mine! Cool. Alright, I still only control 1 propaganda, which is so dumb. But, whatever. So I only get 1 additional support. In capitalism. Okay. And then I will resolve commerce. So I can gain a market. Which, the only one... Oh, I'm not... I can gain energy. So I'm going to grab energy. Because that's the only one, really, that is out there that I can grab. Yeah, I don't have media. Alright, gain an energy. I can exchange if I want. Which I will do. Because my food does no good to me, because Educate is so expensive. So I'm just going to sell both. Get 18. Now I can Educate. Now I can change prices. I'm going to lower the cost of research by... I don't know. It's like I'm like looking over, like, what do you got? What do you need? Holy smokes! I didn't realize this would be so hard to decide. Let's lower Educate by 1.
Okay, I'm going to edge.
Hold on. I'm not done. Because now I have intel.
But edge you can play at any time, right?
Oh, sure.
It says you can play after prices change, and then I can also change prices 3 times.
Nice.
So I'm going to decrease research once and campaigning twice, and we add 1 industry to one market to each industry.
Oh, nice. That's not indicated on the card, or just all of them?
All of them.
Whoa. Dang, Gina.
So there's those. I know, you're welcome.
Yeah, right?
So I hope you get your second thingamabobber.
Well, I'll be. Okay, yeah, so Intel...
Oh, wait. Yeah, I already changed prices.
I'm going to go up to 4 corruption, gain an obligation, research. Now I'm done.
Okay, I'm going to spend 2 capitalism to bring out self-reliance, which also gives me capitalism. Then I'm going to tab this, gain 1 support, and if you control 4 propagandas, which I do, I can campaign for free.
Okay, well then I'm just going to stop that from happening. So I'm just going to cancel that ability.
This ability?
Yep.
Okay. It stays tapped.
It stays tapped. Okay. And I get a research.
Do I get another thing, or is that I'm done?
Yeah, I mean, that was just your first action, right?
That was my second. I played this.
That was your second. So you're done.
Okay, your turn. Your turn!
Let's not forget that you go up on the... You get a third here.
I thought you could only have a max of 2. So I can win markets again?
So with a 4-player... Or with a 2-player game, you have to win 4 power grabs.
Mm-hmm.
2 of those have to be... there have to be 2 unique.
Oh.
So you can get 3 in 1. Which you're at 3 now.
Oh.
So you see one more power grab.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. Wait.
Good deal.
3. There you go. Yes, sir. Okay. My obligations are difficult.
You could pay him off. You could just pay him off.
Pay who off?
The obligations.
Oh, yeah, I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, it only costs 40 each.
Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah, what? With my $26, I can't even afford one. Okay, I think what I'll do... I'm going to campaign. Pay the 6 for it. And I am going to... I'm going to take just 1 from my capitalism. And put it in the chair, and I will remove your justice seat.
You get to do that. You don't get to do it automatically. You have to do that.
Oh, you're right.
Get out of here!
You're right. I forget. I'm coming for you. I'm just going to refresh, because I need to take all of these back, because there's so many things I need. So I will refresh my cards. Your turn.
Okay, next landscape.
Yep.
Does all the prices go up?
So let's grab another technology market. And Clash goes up. Educate goes back up. Research goes up.
Okay.
And then as far as technology, I go up in margin here, and here, and here.
Okay. I am going to spend 6 to campaign. Put my guy there. And then I'm going to gain...
Rude!
Going to gain 1
you
governor
jerk!
Per thing and remove that guy.
Rude.
Actually, I'm going to do 2 and 2.
I'm going to spend 12. Just a cease, please. Thank you. let's go ahead and rally for my second action. So I gain 1 support. There. And then resolve all the abilities. Gain a market, which I need technology. Bad. Doesn't matter where I put it. Just in terms of income, I suppose. That one's almost done. It's worth a lot right now, so let's put that there. I will not be exchanging. I will educate. What do I want to educate in? Another political. When change the prices, I will increase the cost of clash by 1, and the cost of campaigning by 2. Gain another corruption. Gain an obligation. Research. I get my second control here.
No, you don't.
I know. I'm winning here. I'm winning here. I'm
Oh,
winning
yeah,
here. I'm
okay.
winning here. I'll just use a random token. I also control 4 or more seats. So right now I am currently at 3 of the 4.
Hot dog.
Done.
Hot dog. Okay, well, I will edge play this in order to exchange for free.
Nice.
And I'm going to...
What does that mean exactly? Oh, like this as an action you're exchanging, but you'd have to like use an action to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm cashing in my food.
Nice.
Costs 4 to clash.
Got 2.
Maybe I'll cash in my carbon as well. Cash it all in. How many is that? 9, 18 plus 8.
What?
Because I'm cashing in my carbon too.
Oh,
And I had 2 of those. So 26.
14 for the carbon, 18 for the food.
Okay, and then I'm going to...
Wait, you said how much? I think you get way more than that. Oh, did you have
9 times 2 is
carbon?
18. I had 2 carbon.
And you had,
which is...
You had 2 food, right?
Oh, what? Oh, wait, what's carbon at?
7.
Oh.
So
I was looking at the wrong one. I was looking at clash.
Yeah, 14 and 18.
14 plus 18?
Yeah.
Which is 32. Plus 28, which is what, 60? Okay, and then I'm going to campaign twice.
All right, you're done, right?
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Okay, well, I will do things, magical things. All right, I'm going to spend a leader to clash for the justice. Wait, first I'm going to spend 8 to. I'm not going to spend 8. I'm going to use this to research. If you control 3 technologies, ready another card. Oh, I don't need to do that. Whatever. Okay. So I use that. Got another card. Second action. I'm clashing for the justice seat. Wow, what a lame card to get. So I'm going to use these 2 cards plus an additional leader.
I spend nothing.
That's game over.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know how to spend.
Oh, dang! You wouldn't have. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Because each one's are worth 2 from my card. And then 5, 6, 7. And then during focus, add 1 clash for each technology. 7, 8, 9, 10.
Man, just in time. I was going to win next turn.
See, I knew you were. Because you just need 1 more seat.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well played.
I love how, like, nothing happened here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just, like, it changes game by game. Like, you just...
Man, 1 turn away. Yeah, there was nothing I could do.
Boom.
There's just not enough way to get cards. I was sitting on these 2 cards for the last, like,
Mm-hmm.
for the last, like, 8 turns.
Which is crazy, though, because you have cards that give you cards, and research is
like
cheap.
1 card.
And you have tons of money.
Yeah, I was going to win next turn.
Yeah. All right, well... Oh, hello.
So that gives you your 3rd market win?
Well, it gave me... I control this seat.
Yeah, so it gives you a market win.
It gives... Well, no. I would have gotten my 2nd council.
No.
Yeah.
I control this even if you have final
you're right.
say.
So yeah, it was my 3rd.
Yeah, you wouldn't have gotten this.
No, you're right. Yeah. So yeah, it was. Yeah, I got my third win in the market in the industries. Control 4 industries. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. If you have any further questions, just go ahead and leave a comment, and I'll be happy to answer those. But that's Politik. See ya.
Well played.